Alright, so right here we're going to have a basic breakdown over the four fundamental principles of music. I guess by principles, I mean the four relative things that you can use kind of anywhere you go. Because your brain's kind of doing all of this at the same time, remember? Um, so a lot of people, they tend to kind of stay in one, or they'll flip from one to the other. Some people have personalities where they like to lean in certain ways. But each of these have their own kind of way of thinking and their own kind of like languages, I guess. And the principles are just kind of, well, what are these four things that are happening at once? Can I focus on one at a time? Yes. Can I focus on two at a time? Yes. Can I focus on three at a time? It's really hard. Can I focus on four at a time? It's really hard. But most of the time when we're listening to music, we can just be internalizing it and asking ourselves, well, what am I feeling? And all that stuff just pops up as, well, you're feeling like this, well, you're feeling like this, well, you're feeling like this, well, you're feeling like this. And it's just like a subconscious pulse. You're just kind of taking in all this data and going, well, what is it I'm feeling? I must internalize this. And that kind of has its own little way of looking at music and seeing music. The opposite is externalizing. So dancers this is you guys, who love to listen to the music and love to actually just dance it out, love to observe what the music makes them do, what makes them kind of think of like, I guess, you know, every single time it beats like that, I'm on the I'm going to do something. And being able to know how that works is a whole other language within itself. But at the same time, whenever you're doing music, you are tapping into that, so you might as well learn how to externalize as much as internalize. And over here we have rationality, where we actually try and find meaning within the art. Here we look for patterns. Here we try and predict things. We try and come up with conclusions about stuff. And these conclusions don't have to necessarily mean anything, but the fact that you put them together in that little way does mean something. And a lot of people, they like to rationalize their music and say, oh, this music's better than this music, and this music's better than this music, but at the same time, when they're listening to stuff, they're still using the irrational and the creative part of their brain, which has no preference. So it just means that they're choosing to be rational about the music, and they don't really want to be irrational about it, which is totally cool. Some songs are, you know, they're not supposed to make sense, and you're only supposed to kind of listen to it irrationally. Some stuff you're only supposed to internalize, and if you try and dance to it, it's weird. And different styles of music, you know, lay onto different ways of how to kind of tackle this subject, and kind of how to tackle this weird thing we call music. And whenever we're listening to music, our brains are internalizing everything, externalizing everything, rationalizing everything, and irrationalizing everything. Not only do those have their own languages, but these four principles of when you're listening to someone or when you're trying to see where someone's going, try and watch for these four relative points. Are they, you know, are they just making it all about themselves? Are they saying that something bad's gonna happen because of it? Or is it making them uncomfortable? Or are they just kind of like in their own little world trying to do something? Right there. There you have the four principles of how to talk to someone on just basic music stuff. Because a lot of the times I find people will have arguments and it's like, oh no, it's about the irrationality. No, it's all about the meaning and the rationality. No man, it's about the creed. And they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it drives me nuts. So learn the principles. These are the four principles of music: internalizing, externalizing, rationalizing, and irrationalizing. Together, they make music.